just a little something to, I know you guys are mechanics, you watch the mechanics channel, but I have another channel, and it's called, and when I first come up with the name of it, it was my very first YouTube channel. I was gardening, and I realized that I didn't have enough room here at my place for a garden like I really wanted to grow. My cousin had a big piece of property outside of town. She said I was more than welcome to come out there and plant as big a garden as I wanted to, as long as she could have some of the vegetables. She said that she would help me work it the whole 9 yards. Well, I went out there and broke it up and got started on the garden, and it was too late in the year. She wouldn't help me. When she realized how big a garden I was talking about putting in, she started freaking out. Yeah. We busted up a spot that was about 100 yards long, about 50, 75 yards wide. Big garden. And I had all the plants started to do it. And then it was like, Kelly, we need to plant tomatoes on this weekend. Well, I can't this weekend. It's Easter. I can't this weekend. It's Mother's Day. You know. Look, we ended up not having a garden there. But I kept on gardening here at my place, and I realized that I could grow enough enough for me. Enough for me and anybody that I wanted to share with. So, okay. And there's some of my videos on there from then. There's a couple of videos on there from before, whenever I worked on in mechanic shop over in Huntsville. Anyway, so I'm going to turn that into my cooking and prepping and my gardening channel in the near future. I'm gonna take it. I'm gonna start uploading videos to it. So if you guys would like to, please go over there and subscribe that and ring the bell on my channel. You'll see it. It's got a picture of, it's a blue picture of my family crest on there. It's Sharecropper Prepper. I'll leave a link down below in the description. I leave links in all of my videos. All of my videos, I try to leave links. I started leaving links to my Amazon account and the different things. So you could go in, if you see tools that I use, if you see pots and pans that I use that you want, if you want something like it, I went in and shopped for stuff that I would like to have. There's even a thing on there. You could buy me something if you wanted to, but I'm not looking for that. I'm not looking for you to do that. Yes. Anyway, it's a wish list is what it is. It's no big deal. I'm not asking you to send me nothing. I'm not asking you to send me money. I'm doing just fine. In 2015, if you don't know the story, 2015, or no, the year that the Ebola virus hit, I started prepping. I think it was 2013, 2014, somewhere along there. 2015, I bought this house and I moved in here. I had been prepping for a while. A month and a half after I bought this house, I lost my job. So some of and a lot of those preps, I used a lot of them during the time period that I was without a job before I got a job. I was without a job for almost a year. I never missed a house note. I lost a car because of it. And thank God I didn't go crazy when I lost my car, because the day that I lost my car, I had a job offer that provided me with a work truck, credit cards for fuel, phones, everything I needed. Everything I needed. It was a blessing from God. It really was. And but anyway, I have been one of our that after that I started canning and I started replacing stuff. Well, my canning goods, according to the book of Deuteronomy, uh, every 7 years you're supposed to let your land rest. So over the past 2 years, I have not gardened. I haven't done anything out there. My land's been resting. So next year I plan on gardening quite a bit. This winter I plan on putting up a greenhouse. The way it's looking, I'm probably fixing to take on a part-time job so I don't give absolutely up on my business. I'm only working about 3 days a week as of right now with my business. So I was thinking about taking on a part-time job in some box stores, working, doing something I've never done before. I've never worked retail stores before, but I'm at the age where I cannot really get out and do a lot of physical labor. So I'm thinking that it's time for me to get involved in something else so I'll have a paycheck and also I will have my business. And if my business kicks off again like it did year before last, after the economy gets straightened out, then I'll probably leave my part-time job. Maybe I'll work it at night. I don't know. Maybe I'll continue to work it for some crazy reasons to help me pay my taxes or something. I don't know, but 3 days a week, I can do something like that. Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, it don't matter. Anyway, so what I'm coming to you about right now is every so often I buy a bag of rice and I put it up in Mylar bags. Rice, beans, flour, stuff like that needs to be put up. It needs to be put up someplace where it's airtight, where the rats can't get to it and the mice can't get to it. So that's what I'm here to do today. I've got, I'll do this bag here, 20 pounds of rice. That should be enough for me for 2 years. It really should be. Unless things get bad and I have to start eating rice every day. One of these right here will last me about 2.5, 3 months. So that's what I use to measure my rice with. I'll show you. And so I'll measure it into here. Once I get it measured into there, I'll put it into Mylar bag, and then I'll put an oxygen absorber in that, and I'll seal it off. And I'll show you how to do it all the way. And so let's get started with, first of all, let's find out how much is in one of those little old bags. Or one of those bottles. And the reason I want to know is because I'm going to pour my rice into this. And then careful, don't bruise your rice. Figure out how to get the bag open first. Okay, we're gonna get this here. That lid will close. Put that on the scale. Let's turn this on. Okay, let's do a tear. Okay, that'll hold 4 pounds, 12 ounces, almost 5 pounds of rice. Almost 5 pounds of rice. And that's a 20-pound bag. All right. Or excuse me. Four pounds, 12 ounces. I need to write this down. A little bit of math. Okay, 4 pounds, 12 ounces. Okay. Okay, this is 2 pounds, 2 ounces. For you guys out there that's really good at math, you know that's 2 pounds, 10 ounces. Now, I'll take that 2 pounds of rice, pour it into this Mylar bag, and I'm gonna try to get as much of the air out of it as I can. Okay, now I will continue to do this until I run out of rice. Of course, I'm gonna leave myself with 2 pounds of rice in my deal. That way, whenever I go out there or I go to my pantry and I get a bag of rice out, it's because this is empty. And I'm gonna go get a bag of rice and I'm gonna come open it up and I'm gonna pour it in here. And then I'm gonna save my Mylar bags. These Mylar bags are good for forever. They really are. Okay. Now, whether my oxygen absorbers right here are good or not, I don't know. Because you hear my lid? 2 years ago when COVID hit, I bought a box of Mylar bags, and I bought oxygen. They come with oxygen absorbers in them. Well, of course I did. My brand new wife, she was like, "Why are you buying all that stuff?" Because you don't know if you're going to be able to get that stuff next week. Now, we may not be able to get nothing next week. Year after next, there's going to be shortages. I want to make sure I got stuff. So I've got extra Mylar bags, and every bit of my extra Mylar bags has extra oxygen absorbers. So what I'm going to do today is, I can't remember, I guess it was last year, about this time, I did this same thing. Always, you know, I don't think I got out there and got into any of my rice, but I don't remember. I usually try to keep it fresh, but I don't remember. So I just can't tell you that. So the last time I used it, I put this cap on here and I tightened it down. You hear that? That tells me that most likely I got oxygen in there because it didn't suck the cap down tight. I don't know. We're going to see, because what I'm going to do today is I'm going to take and seal this bag off with one of these oxygen absorbers in it, and then I'm going to seal it, and then I'll wait till tomorrow. 6 to 8 hours. It usually has one of these oxygen absorbers. They usually have all the oxygen sucked out of that bag, and it'll be tight. It will be super tight, and it'll be like, I don't know, one of them bags of coffee. When you get them bags of coffee that's been vacuum sealed, it'll be like one of them. It'll be a brick of rice there. But the minute that you open it up and that air goes back in there, it just fluffs right on up just like it was fresh. I do believe they said at that time, whenever I started doing this, that shelf life on food in Mylar bags was indefinite. I believe that's what they said. That's the reason I started using it, because if it hadn't been for my preps whenever I lost my job, I'd have been real skinny. I'd have been poor, plumb poor. As it was, I didn't have trouble eating. In fact, my oldest son moved in with me, and I never had to ask him for any help buying groceries or anything. No bills to be paid or nothing. It kind of spoiled him, because right at the end, after I had got me a job, I asked him to start helping me with the bills so I could get back on my feet. And he moved out. Don't ever trust your children, even your children. Even your children, don't ever trust them whenever it comes to asking them for their money. You start asking them for their money, oh boy, they'll find some way, somehow or another, to live for free. They will. This day and age and this millennials, my youngest son, he ain't like it. He ain't like it. He is a man of his word, and he will tote the mail. He was 18 years old. He got out of high school. He quit school. Damn, I hated it. He quit school. I'm sorry. He quit school. He went to work on the pipeline about 2 weeks after he quit school. That little shit was making more money than I was as a grown man. And he was 18 years old and had never had a job before. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Well, I'm making good money. I'm making $90,000 a year. So that just tells you how much money he was making. I come home from work one Saturday morning. Saturday morning was that was my Friday. My Friday afternoon was Saturday morning. So I come rolling up in the house, and I walked in. I wasn't living here, but you can imagine walking in, and I walked in and there was coffee on the stove, hot, because he had just left to go to work. I was getting home at 6 o'clock in the morning. He had just left. In fact, I met him in the driveway on the way out, and he was like, "I gotta go, Dad. I gotta get to work. I'm not late, but I'm a little later than I want to be." Okay, later. I walked in the house. The house was clean because I had a housekeeper. The house was clean. smelled clean. And I walked in, flipped the lights on in the kitchen because I was hungry. I could smell coffee. There was coffee hot on the stove, ready for me to drink. My moonshine was in the freezer, ice cold. There was a fire in the fireplace. It wasn't built up because he knew not to leave a fire built up in the fireplace. But all I had to do was throw a couple pieces of pine on it and get it tendered back up, and then put me some logs on it. The house was warm. When I flipped the light on in the kitchen and looked around, it was like, dadgum. I opened up. I was gonna get me some bacon or something out of the freezer. I opened up the freezer and it was slam full of food, slam full of meat. I opened up the refrigerator. It had fresh milk, everything in there was stocked, fully stocked. I'm like, oh wow. I hadn't been to the grocery store in a week. So you think, a week? I don't go to the grocery store about once a month. So, I usually keep my place pretty well stocked. And at that point, everything was in there. There was soda waters, there was chips, there was Hostess cakes, there was cinnamon rolls up on top of the refrigerator, chips. Everywhere you looked, it was like, one thing's for sure, I ain't got to go to the grocery store this week. Now that's my youngest son. My oldest son, the boy ain't like that, not a bit. They raised by two different people. I raised my youngest son from the time he was 10 months old by myself. My other son was with a different woman. He lived with me from the time he was 6 till the time he was 11, 12 years old. And then he went to live with his mama. And his mama, I don't know what she did. She let him do whatever he wanted to do. Whatever he wanted to do, as long as he was happy. Because she was afraid that if he come live with me, that I'd file for child support. I never had got child support from any of my exes. I raised my kids without all that. I didn't need all that. I didn't want that. I wanted them to have money to spend on them whenever they had them for the weekends. Because I knew what it was like to pay child support, and it sucks to have to pay child support and not have no money ever. So anyway, that's beside the point. So, but that's the difference in them. One volunteers his money when you ain't got none, or just volunteers it because he knows he's living there for free and ain't never had to pay no rent. I always fed him good. He always had nice clothes, had a nice ride. I had a 2010 model Dodge Challenger, and I let him drive it. I let him use it. Whenever he was going to work, I let him use it. I rode back and forth with my buddy to my job. Because I knew I could count on my buddy, and I didn't know if he had anybody that he could count on. Anyway, so don't trust anybody with your monies, with your preps. Don't trust them. My ex-wife, I wouldn't even tell her what I had out there. We hadn't been together very long, and I wouldn't even trust her. I wouldn't even tell her what I had out there. She's like, what do you got out there? I said, it's food. That's all. And I'd tell her, I said, I need you to go by the feed store and pick up some rat packs, some Tomcat rat killer, stuff like it. She said, what for? I said, to go out there in the barn. She says, what do you got out there? I said, well, it's food. I said, we don't want no rats getting into it, that's for sure. And she's like, well, what's it for? And I said, don't worry about it, just stay out of it, don't use any of it. I said, there's everything we'll need out there. There's spices, there's sugar, there's flour, there's pasta, there's tea, there's, you know, it's out there. It's out there. And then she asked about, she started cooking for us and her daughter and her daughter's boyfriend. And I'm like, hey, that's all cool. I said, but I don't mind them coming over here and eating once a week, but just 2-3 times a week starting to get old because, I didn't take him on the raise. If that boy wants to come over here and eat, he can stop at the grocery store and buy groceries. If her daughter lived here with us, but she didn't. She lived with him. So in other words, he's done took her on. He might as well be married to her. He should be married to her. So he can foot her bill. He's footing her bill. I ain't footing her bill. I ain't footing his bill. And mama shouldn't be footing her bill neither. Okay? Or his bill. You take care of your own self. In my book, that's the way it goes. I've always took care of myself. So, you know, she would cook out of the jars, my canning jars. You know, and I'm like, from out of the garden, I'm like, I didn't grow them for that. There ain't enough back there for that. She's like, what'd you grow that for? I said, for us to eat. I said, for me to eat to begin with. But I said, now that I'm married to you, it's for us. Okay? And it's back there so we don't have to go to the store and buy canned goods. All right? So we can eat halfway good. That don't mean that we're going to go through all of our canning stuff because they're coming over to eat supper with us. No. I said, we need to stay out of that. They're all labeled. Every one of them's labeled with a year on it. Canned goods are good for 3 years. In my book, they're good for 3 years. After 3 years, I pour them out. So right now, I'm eating all the stuff that I canned out of the garden in 2020. It's 2022. I'm eating it. But everything that was put up in 2021, everything was eaten in 2020, cooked, grown in 2022, is not to be eaten. See, I didn't garden in 2021 or 2022 because I let my land rest. So there you go. Next year, I'm going to have to grow enough to eat fresh and to put up for 2 years. I'm going to have to work double hard next year because of that. But that's the way it goes. That's the way it goes. Now, I know you're wondering, I need to get off all that subject. How to seal this bag? I use this right here. It's a hair straightener. And it's all it's ever been used for. All it's ever been used for. So, I'm going to do this one and then I'm going to put the bags up or put these up because I want to see if they're good. I don't know if they're good or not. I sure don't want to lose my deals. But the idea that I have is from now on is to put not more than 5 of them in a little jar. Keep them in a little jar and not put more than 5 of them in it. Because that's usually about what I use, about 5 bags. And which use 5 of these. All right, let me show you how to do this. It had a seal on it. We'll see. We'll put one in there and immediately seal that up. Make sure that that's, okay, it's laying flat. Okay. Get all the air out of it you can. And take this, go over to the center. just like so. Just like that. Now, if that oxygen absorber is any good, it'll suck all the air out of that. I'm gonna label this as rice 22. Now, where's my scissors gone? Now I'm gonna trim this bag. Just like that. Now, I can use this bag to seal something that I need to keep dry, something that, I don't know, we can put candy bars in there, we can put matches in there, batteries, you can put might near anything in there. I could put oxygen absorbers in there and seal it down tight. But I have a feeling that the way that kind of popped whenever I took it off, that these will have enough. Even if that right there is not enough to suck all that oxygen out of it, it'll be okay, because I can take this right here, and before I put it up in storage, I can put it in the deep freeze and leave it in there for 2 weeks, and that will kill anything that's in there. That'll literally, I mean, if there's any weevils or anything like that, you can do that. Now, I do have some flour that needs to go up, and but I don't feel like busting it out right now. And it's the same process. It's the same process. A lot of people use these nuclear buckets, and they'll fill them up. I use totes. And I fill the totes up, and then I can stack them and put them on shelves or whatever. What would be nice is if you had 2 bags of these like this, 2 bags of rice just like this, a bag of pasta, and a bag of beans, and a bag of tea. Do just like you were doing an MRE. For you and your group, have a month's supply or 2 months supply of food. You'd have 2 months of rice, 2 months of beans, 2 months of pasta, and 2 months of tea, and 2 months of sugar. You know, sugar is a big commodity in a bad scenario, because you can use sugar for a lot of things. You can use sugar to make alcohol. It'll be you can buy and sell sugar. You definitely can. You can buy food with sugar. You can trade it. Because people's always gonna want food. They're always, man, they're sugar, coffee, alcohol. Alcohol's a big trade item. Alcohol will be worth this weight in gold. Anyway, I'm gonna put this up. just in case. Something, I've got a whole bunch of them. I've got a whole stack of them right here, just like this. And whenever I need them, I got them. You can take and put a small bag, a 1 pound bag of rice in there and seal it up. Put hot chocolate in there. Yes, spices. So I'm gonna see if that right there is going to seal off, and after I see that it'll seal off, then I'll go to use these, or I'll either that or I'll open up another one. And what I'll do is I'll bag them all up. That's 2.10 pounds. So let's just go on and bag some up. I won't see them, but I'll bag them up. Okay, so that pitcher weighs 9.2 ounces. All right, now we need 1.2 pounds of rice. Just found my scissors. No, I'm not a hoarder. I'm not a hoarder. You say, well, why do you believe? I mean, if you believe in God, you believe in the rapture. Why are you doing this? Well, let me ask you this: does everybody in your family believe in God? If I'm gone, I'm not going to miss it. So, but my boys, I don't know. I know they believe in God, but I don't know if they've ever truly been saved. And I know they don't go to church. So. We'll give it over, especially on TV. Okay. Okay, 2.12 pounds. There it is. That's when I put it on my list to buy more. Because over the course of the last 4 or 5 years, I've used it and I've replaced it and I've used it and I've replaced it. You know, six bags right there. That's 12 pounds. So in other words, I try to use some, but the minute that I use some, that's a reminder that I need to buy more. My goal is to always have 2 years worth of groceries for myself. You'll never know what's going to happen. I do know this. I do know this. If somebody breaks up into here, wants something to eat, they're gonna be met. They're not gonna be happy that they came here. regardless of how well armed that they are. That's 7, 8. 8 times 2 is 16. 16. This is supposed to be 20 pounds of rice. Okay, so no, that's almost 3 pounds. 6, 7. That's 20. It's almost, yeah. That's about right. Let me put this up. I'll do this up. But there was a time where I was a machinist, and that was when the Ebola virus hit. When I first started doing a little bit of prepping, I didn't know anything about, well, I knew about prepping, but I had never been in a position where I could prep. When the Ebola virus hit, it was like, oh my God, we ain't gonna be able, you know, when it first hit in Dallas, and you say whatever you want to say, I panicked. I said, oh my God, I live 3 hours from Dallas. One person with that shit pull up at Buc-ee's on Friday night, going to Houston. They stop at Buc-ee's like everybody does. That stuff will be all over Houston by Monday. The Ebola will be. I mean, it's going to be a national plague. And I was real impressed with the way they handled that. They shut everything down and killed that. But that wasn't the case with COVID. They lost their nerve with COVID, and it shouldn't have never made it out of the country of origin. But it was already too late. It was already too late. I had it in December. I had already had it. And I know it was COVID. Ain't no doubt about it. But you can do just about any kind. You can do crackers. Yeah, you can do crackers. You can do sugar. Let's see, tea, sugar, pasta, spices, powdered milk, flour, instant coffee, brown sugar, anything that's dry and needs to be kept dry can be done this way. So I mean, it's a good thing. If you don't know anything about storing and prepping and stuff, what I was trying to tell you about was after they said it was in Dallas, I was sitting at the house and I told my son, I said, you better go and go to bed, son. We're gonna have an early morning in the morning. He said, well, what are we gonna do tomorrow? I said, we're going to Sam's Club. He said, going to Sam's Club? I said, yeah. I said, so be ready. So we cleaned out my car. We cleaned out everything. We went into Sam's Club and we bought $1,500 worth of tea, milk, flour, sugar, all your staples, everything. And actually had water shipped to my house. Now I might look like a fool, but I want to tell you what it looked like when we drove up into Sam's Club. We pulled up into Sam's Club in Conroe, Texas, which is a metropolis place. It's busy, always busy. We pulled up there at 11 o'clock in the morning on Saturday morning, and it had always been busy there before. We shopped at Sam's for a long time. And there was 3 cars in the parking lot. 3 cars. I was like, is this place open? And we walked up there and got a basket. Excuse me. And we did our shopping. Like I said, I got $1,500 worth of stuff. We was in there for 2 hours. I mean, we weren't in there no longer than what you would normally be in a store buying groceries. I just bought more of it because I done did math and figured out how long it was going to take for this stuff to burn itself out. I knew we weren't going to be able to get deliveries. I knew there wasn't going to be none of that. Who's going to bring you food? Who's going to, and you know, it's like, who's going to bring this to you? Ain't nobody going to bring it to you. because you ain't going to want nobody to bring you nothing, because you don't want them touching your door. You don't want them touching, because Ebola virus is bad. It's bad. You think COVID is bad? Ebola virus is 400 times worse than COVID. So I had devised how much we was going to need, and I got it. And as soon as we got home, I started putting it up, and I bought me a dehydrator. I bought Mylar bags. I started having that stuff shipped to me. And I'm talking about express shipped. I spent so much money in that 1 week. My bank was calling me saying, Chris, are you making these purchases? I said, yes, I sure am. Okay, it's this crazy places be making big purchases like that. She says, you made $1,800 purchase at Sam's Club for groceries? I said, yes, ma'am. She said, what are you doing? I said, I'm trying to feed the army, man. She said, you must be. I said, I am. You know, my bank takes real good, close care of me. They always have. Because they know that I do a lot of online stuff. And it's like, they stay on top of my stuff. Praise God that they do, because I've been hacked before. It wasn't nothing nice. I'm not a rich man. I'm not rich at all. In fact, you open up my wallet, the only money you're going to find in it is change. But yes, I spent the time and decided on where I could go. You know, because I mean, we lived in a new town. We had just moved over to Huntsville. We didn't know anybody. We didn't live close to no relatives, no nothing. We couldn't lock ourselves down in that little house and not go to work. So it's like, okay, if we had to go under lockdown, what's this guy, this idiot that I rent from, going to do? Is he going to kick me out because I ain't paying rent, because I ain't got no money, because I ain't got no job? What's going to happen? And I got my map out, and I said, well, I've lived in the woods before. We'll live in the woods again. We'll take all of our stuff, our preps and our guns and everything, and we'll move to the woods. And I pulled the maps out, and I started looking at it, and I tried to find the most absolute remote place that I could find on the map. And I know right where it's at, and I'd never tell no one. Never tell no one. It's still there. There are no roads to it. It's an island, but it's not an island. But it is an island, but it's not an island. It's one of those type of places. And I can get there with off-road vehicles, and there ain't nobody else coming there. And then I would defend it like it was Fort Knox. But luckily, none of that transpired. None of that went to fruition. But I did continue my preps to a certain point. I would like, and you know, it was the very next year I lost my job. That was in October. In January, I lost my job. So, you know, that was a big, if it hadn't been for my preps, having my preps and stuff like that, I might have been on food stamps. And I wasn't on food stamps throughout that whole time. I wasn't on government assistance or anything throughout that whole time. Now, I was just fixing to start. I was just fixing to start losing stuff whenever I got a job. I did. I was. I had just lost my car, and I was 1 month away from missing my first house note. And in fact, whenever I got hired, I asked my boss, I said, so when can I start? And he told me that it was going to be February 29th when I started. And this was like 2 weeks away. I'm like, oh shoot, I ain't going to get a check for a month. The minute I got off the phone with him, I called the electric company, I called the phone company, I called the gas company, I called every company that, you know, I had any bills with, and I made arrangements to make late payments, to make payout plans, set up payout plans and stuff like that, so I wouldn't never go without electricity or water or gas. But this the city up here, as far as I know, they won't help you at all. They won't help you at all. If you're more than 2 days late, they cut your water off. They'll cut your water off. Which reminds me, the water bill was due Friday. Or no, it's due today. It's due today. This is Saturday. I got to go pay the water bill Monday, and we're good for another month. I wanted to have a water well drilled here and have it set up on solar panels where I can draw water into like a 1,000-gallon tank, and but I haven't been able to get far enough ahead to do that. And it would be kind of risky because you're supposed to ask the city before you do stuff like that. But I want the water well to water a garden with. That's what I want it for, is to water a garden with. And because it's too expensive to water a garden with city water. No, they're crazy. They're crazy. They want $95 a month just for water, water and garbage pickup here. It's crazy. Well, listen, I know that you guys have been listening to me rant for 2 hours, it seems like. But yes, take care of yourself in the coming months. Get yourself, if you've got a job and you're making money, put stuff up. You need to, because and I really hate to say this, but you might want to cut your Christmas short. Yeah, you can always make it up. Christmas ain't about gifts anyway. Christmas is about the birth of Jesus Christ.